How's everyone? Well, have you had a chance to see everyone? Yeah.
Not everyone. No, the quarantine boys are still not with us. I think there's 11 players, so we'll get 4 back on Wednesday, and the rest of the guys back next week. So not all together yet, but there's 30 odd here.
That aside, are you a happy coach?
I'm always a happy coach. Look, it's different. It's a new era because of the training and the fact we don't see them before Christmas, or the older guys, and you got to put a lot of trust in the players. And I think we'll adjust if it continues year after year. We'll get better and better, and the players will adapt themselves. So, but early stages, the time trials and the way they're training, everyone looks like they're in pretty good condition, and there's still plenty of time.
Does that include Elliot Young?
Yeah, well, he's ticking the boxes. Yeah, he's advancing every week. So we haven't had a hiccup yet. So he's on running duties at the moment. So the next phase for him will be change of direction. So we'll take that as it comes. But he's still on track for early return this season.
When change of direction? When's the that next step? How far down the track?
Today. Yeah. So we're progressing. So, but his body will tell him where he's at. So he'll get to a point where he needs to pull back, and we'll keep working through that. So hopefully we've pulled the right run.
When he was away from the club, how much contact were you allowed to have with him at that point to help him in his recovery?
Yeah, I don't think it's about you can't have contact or you can and can't do these things. It's more, they can work through their own program. They don't have to be here every day. So it's not like we can't talk to them or they can't come into the club. In fact, we saw probably more people than ever filtering through the club in December. So Yoey's been working with our physios and S&C boys through the whole break, and we would have had off legs period, and then a slow build and physio and all those things. So he's been going for a while now.
Is he on round one, or is it not?
I don't think we can put a round on it, but he'll be right when he's right. And at the moment, he's tracking pretty well.
Do you envisage he'll catch up to his teammates, or given he's behind at the moment?
Hope so, eventually. Yeah. Well, that's the plan. I mean, with the new rotations and the game length going back out, it'll probably make it harder for players like Yoey to come back in with managed minutes. I'm sure we'll find a way, but that's down the track. We've still got a fair bit of work to do, albeit the pre-season games start in 6 weeks or something. So it'll come around pretty quick.
Tracking the full squad, from the guys who are in quarantine, you able to train the full squad?
Yeah, I think the protocols have been lifted, so which is important with such a small time frame. You need to make every session count. So unfortunately we'll miss 11 players for a couple of weeks, but they're training on their own, but it's important to train as a group at some stage, and we'll do that today.
The impact is obviously very different to what you had through the last year. Has that changed things drastically?
The way we train?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does affect, especially if you try and introduce new concepts. There's a few rule changes as well, which we'd like to try and work through, but having the ability to train as 15 on 15 or something like that, that's important. So I'm glad the AFL lifted those protocols, but I understand why they shut them down as well.
With your quarantine guys, there's 4 coming back at one point and 7 coming back another. Are they allowed to train as an 11, or are they 4 and 7?
No, they're 4. I was here yesterday watching them train from the behind the closed doors, and they got some permission to train in the oval, so they were in their small groups. Yeah, unless they come back on the same day, they had to train in separate groups.
How are you feeling at the moment when you're seeing borders sort of closed, about what you might have to do to play?
I actually haven't thought that far ahead. I was probably feeling more for everyone with their families and also the understanding of what we're going through. So obviously we're not at the end yet with all the protocols, but it feels like we're on top of the situation to a certain degree. So I think everyone respects it. The cricketers and the basketballers are working around probably what we went through last year, and it's difficult. So, but no, I think we're probably a bit more resilient than we were this time last year with the whole situation.
The fact that we've seen athletes leave one day, come back 2 days later, and the borders be shut. They've left open, they've come back and it's shut. You're going to leave and just have you crossing your fingers, I imagine, at times, and nothing happens interstate. Is that a bit unnerving at all?
I don't feel too unnerved about it. I think just after what we went through last year, it's it is what it is. So, like I said, we learned a lot about resilience last year. We grew a lot, off-field in particular, and that'll hold us in good stead no matter what happens this time around.
Apart from Elliot, Simo, does anyone have any restrictions this pre-season? Brendan Archie, Luke Shuey, are they all right?
Yeah, there's a few little niggles, which there always are this time of year, and that's probably the one risk of training remotely is you come back into an environment where we ramp it up pretty quick. If you think about prep for round one, quite often it's a fair build when you start early December. So there's some players who are going to get injured just through overtraining early, and we've got 3 or 4 guys with little niggles, but nothing that's going to hold them back. I think Zach Langdon, Yowie, Luke Shuey, Archie. This, outside of Elliot, I think most guys will be back in full swing of it the next 2 weeks.
Where do you want the improvement to come from?
It's a good question. We're working through that now. The consistency of our playing group's really important. Availability helps. But we had a period there last year that was, our sweet spot for the middle part of the year, and we fell away early and late. So probably the full season consistency is what we're looking for. But we'll work through all those things with the players, and everything started a bit later. So give me a couple more weeks.
The first sort of 6 weeks of the season is going now. Change just inevitable, do you think? I mean, we set out the best intentions and work back from there.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what our fixture really looks like. I know who we're playing the first couple of rounds, but we traditionally don't look too deep in it anyway. But the fact is, there's games that could be changed, and who knows, the rules could change, game lengths could change. So we'll just put and train what's in front of us now. So we're not overthinking the future.
Do you hold any hopes that you'll play more games in Perth this year?
I'm just not in that headspace. I'm just happy that we're training with the full group today. So, yeah, we'll prepare like any other year, and we'll take whatever's in front of us, whatever comes. So, you're not thinking too much about the future at the moment. We just can't. There's no point.
It's had a pretty alarming toll on the coaches from last season across the whole league. How are you feeling mentally and physically, and just how do you find the whole thing when you look back on it now?
Oh, I think it's not exclusively to AFL and industry. You guys would have felt the same. It's been a difficult period for society. So doing the right thing, making sure everyone's healthy and happy has been really difficult. So our industry is no different than a lot of industries out there. So and then the restrictions on our soft cap spend have sort of gone to another level for us personally with less staff and more work. So that's another challenge in front of us. But we're no different to society, really. There's a lot of things going on that we've got to keep an eye on.
Would you consider taking more time off? Some coaches have it.
Not really. No, we're pretty lucky in WA. We haven't really been in lockdown. So when our season finished, we could travel around the state as much as we want. So it hasn't really affected the time away from the club's important. But yeah, the restrictions have been pretty good here. So once you're in the state, you're okay. Yeah, I'm still waiting. I think we're hoping before the end of the month we'll get a bit more indication of what's going on. So that's really important for Willie's mental health as well. Obviously it's been a long time, and we'll find out in the next couple of weeks.
Do you understand that it'll be a decision, final decision?
I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I think we'll get a decision. I don't think it'll be final. So yeah, that'll take place, I'd say, in the next 2 weeks.
The hearing, did we any more hope about what might happen with Willie?
No. All I'm thinking about is Willie's health and well-being, really. So where he's at personally, obviously I can't control what's happening in the courts and the proceedings, and what's done is done. So now we're just hoping we get a good hearing and get a good outcome.
How's he going?
Oh, he's not great. No, it's been a long time of the unknown. So a bit of it he needs to put his hand up and deal with himself, but it's been probably too long a time to wait, really.
Is the club sort of cross the bridge about how you sort of go forward depending on ways? You could potentially be facing all the time.
Yeah, it's a really interesting conversation about what we do. Once we get the verdict, once we get it settled and it's finalised, we'll work through it then. But we've been pretty patient considering what's happened, and some people say that's on us and on him, but it's been a little bit out of whack.
Are you concerned he might not get back to AFL?
Absolutely. Yes, yeah, and for him personally. So, but we'll deal with it. we'll get some clarity in the next couple of weeks and we'll go from there.